The information and cultural beacon of the Four Corners.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Except your intelligence.
Coming up, should all ages be equal?
Yeah, why do we treat people differently based on their age?
Well, age isn't like race or gender. It's totally fair to tell a 10-year-old they can't drive your Tesla.
But why couldn't a capable 15-year-old start driving?
Yikes! Look out on the roads, people.
Should all ages be equal? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, Tuesday, December 21st at 7:30 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or at 505-599-1148. 11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, the last day of November 2021. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE, a listener-supported radio station here at San Juan College. We're glad that you are with us. Welcome also to our listeners who have tuned into 103.3 FM in the Durango area to tune in today, and our other listeners who are streaming the KSJE signal off of our website, ksje.com, or maybe you asked your smart speaker to tune us in this morning. We're glad that you are with us. Welcome also to our viewers who are joining us this morning. The video stream is going out live to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. So we're glad that you are with us this morning as well, everybody. Because coming up, it is our monthly update from Bloomfield Schools. Superintendent Kim Mizell is standing by to talk with me in the next few moments. We'll be glad to talk with Dr. Mizell here on the program this morning to get an update from Bloomfield Schools today. Later on this hour, we'll be checking in with Amber Francisco over at the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. Amber will be talking about some of the pets available for adoption this week, including Nia, the cat you see on the screen right there. Big Cass will be up next hour, roving with the arts after the news at 9 a.m. Mick this morning is featuring music from the great Rachmaninoff. That coming up today on Roving with the Arts at 9:06 on KSJE. And don't forget, you can also connect with us on our Instagram page in addition to Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. And if you're a podcast person, you can subscribe for free to KSJE Podcasts wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on all the popular platforms and take us with you wherever you may happen to be this holiday season. You can check us out there as well. Weather forecast, sunshine this morning, 31 degrees outside our studios here at San Juan College in Farmington. We're expecting a mostly sunny day today with a high of 54 degrees, 22 and clear skies overnight. Sunshine again for the next several days. Take a look, and highs each day in the mid to lower 50s and overnight lows in the mid to lower 20s. Maybe another storm system moving through on Tuesday with colder weather and a chance of a rain or snow shower next Tuesday, but that is a long ways away. And before we get to our guest, I do want to remind you, of course, KSJE has a regional events calendar, and we want to remind you about some of the events that are on that coming up, some of the great events that are happening, whether they're art events regionally, or, of course, we've got a jazz concert happening at the Conegauch Theater. That is coming up, of course, this week as well from San Juan College. We hope you'll check it out. Just go to ksje.com and check out our regional events calendar, and you can see all of the events that are going on. And if you are in charge of an event that's happening and want to put it on our calendar, you can place it there for free as well. So we hope you will check it out and check out our events calendar and use it and share it with your friends. Let me introduce my guest who is here with me this morning, as I mentioned, back with me for her regular monthly update. Dr. Kim Mizell is here from the Bloomfield School District. Dr. Mizell, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. And we were talking a bit before we came on the air this morning about, it's assessment season at Bloomfield Schools in addition to the holiday season.
Yes, we're getting ready to assess our students for the second quarter. And so these next few weeks before the Christmas holiday, we'll be taking assessments to kind of get a sense of where they're at with the standards that we teach, and hopefully move forward into the next semester. Some of the seniors will be taking or high school students will be taking their finals in January. So that moves into after the holiday season. But yeah, we're trying to get some data and collect some information to see what we need to do to adjust our instruction or support the students better, or maybe they're just doing wonderful things. We hope they are, that's for sure.
Right, right. Well, and so do you have any inklings of how things are going from what your teachers are telling you or your principals are telling you? I know there was a big concern certainly about last year when kids were working and going to school from home and virtual learning and things along that line. Now, we've all worked really hard to try to get kids back in school and back in the classroom face to face. And so it's everyone's hope that that has been an improvement for those students.
Right. We've done everything we possibly can to try to keep schools open so that they can be in the classroom with their teacher. And our early data that was collected in the first quarter kind of indicated it wasn't as bad as we thought it might be. But however, we do have some grade levels that we have concerns about, like first grade and third grade. Those are concerning grade levels because of the level of reading and instruction that they needed last year in order to understand the content that has to be taught. So a lot of support has been provided in those areas at the schools. So we'll hopefully see some nice growth this next quarter. And so, we're always looking at certain grade levels and those were kind of anticipated just because of like our first and second grade students did not have computers last year.
I see.
So that was an issue for us. And so this year everyone does. So hopefully we can just streamline our instruction to help them catch up and do better. And then third grade, it gets a little more academic. And if they have holes and gaps in their instruction from the past year, that shows up in third grade. So we're really pushing hard to make sure that we support them and help them to catch up and also achieve well.
Got you. And I know, at least I remember, and I think I remember correctly, when it comes to third grade, those reading skills are really important by third grade. It seems to be an indicator of maybe how well a student will do later in their academic career. Is that still a good measure of academic performance, those third grade reading skills?
Yes, absolutely. They need to be pretty fluent by third grade to be successful. It doesn't mean that they can't catch up,
right?
Because I believe in the resilience of a child, but it's helpful if they are reading fluently by third grade for their future. They need to be able to have that good sense of fluency and how they need to read to understand content, read to learn. It's not just learning to read anymore. So that's where the transition happens, is third grade.
Got it. Very good. You mentioned the computer project in Bloomfield schools, and I just want to take a moment to talk about that, because that seems to be a pretty big change for students who didn't have computers last year, as you mentioned, and now all of your students do. A major investment by Bloomfield schools, and certainly probably made all the more important after the 2020 academic year. And so these have been rolled out, and each student now has kind of equal access, I guess, right? And they have that tool to help them with learning in all of their classes?
Yes, they have the capability to learn with the computers, using technology in the classroom. I know a lot of teachers really changed their instruction where it was driven with the use of technology. We still prefer to have them in the classroom. They use those computers while they're teaching. A lot of our assessments are on the computer, so it has changed the way of public education and the way school and the classrooms work. But I think it's for the better because our students need to be prepared to use technology in the future and be fluent in that. So it's another level of fluency that has to happen.
Right, but all your students have an equal access, equal opportunity, I guess, with that equipment.
Yes. And we also have to provide some hotspots for some students that don't have, they have issues with internet.
Sure.
So we have provided that as well.
Very good. And I guess kudos to your IT department that had to probably build up your Wi-Fi in your schools to accommodate all these extra hundreds of computers logging on each day.
We have been set up real well for that for a while. We've been doing a lot of infrastructure stuff with technology, so we have fiber optic
Right.
use for internet, and so we're in a good place in Bloomfield for that.
Very good. Excellent. And let's talk a bit about some of the COVID precautions, too. I know, again, as we've been mentioning, the goal is to keep kids in school now face-to-face and be able to do that. We were talking a little bit about cases that had maybe you'd seen an increase earlier in the month, but they seem to be on the decline these days. So that the procedures that you've got in place seem to be working well with your students and your staff?
Yeah, we've only had to close 2 schools. We had to close the junior high, and it has to do with staffing or excessive cases in a rapid time period. At the junior high, it went from, we were watching the threshold of 5% to see what the mark would be to close, and they went from like 14 cases to 40 in a day. So it can happen very quickly, and so we really monitor things on a daily basis. And then at Central Primary, we had to close the school because we didn't have staffing to cover all the duties and responsibility of managing a school. So, and then as that process happened, more cases came through, so we went ahead and just extended through Thanksgiving. They're back in school today. We work real hard to try to keep the schools open, but sometimes it's not possible.
Right, and I think you make a good point by saying that the reason a school is closed may be because of COVID cases, but it may be because just your teachers or your staff either are sick or maybe need to quarantine, and maybe they're not sick, but you just don't have enough staff to open the school, and it could be either one of those 2 scenarios.
Right. In Bloomfield, we have a low vaccination rate for our employees. We offered vaccination clinics and offer opportunity for them to get vaccinated, but they have chose not to. So that becomes a problem with quarantining. And so when they've been exposed, they have to be quarantined.
Right. Does that also mean then that you have a testing requirement in the district, Dr. Mizell, for those
Yes.
who have chosen not to be vaccinated?
Yes, they have to be tested every week.
Got it. Very good. And I know a lot of healthcare folks here in San Juan County have said repeatedly on this program and many others that they do encourage folks to get vaccinated, and if they have questions, to certainly talk to their personal physician about that, if they have any personal health issues or things like that, to get those vaccination rates a little higher throughout San Juan County. I'll say it, you don't have to, Dr. Mizell, but I know we encourage folks to consider getting the vaccine to get us out of this pandemic. Let me ask you a bit about another topic, which is the upcoming legislative session, which will be happening early next year. Certainly, I know yourself and other educators from around the state have been meeting and talking about maybe some of your priorities that you would like the lawmakers to consider when they meet. Can we talk a little bit about those?
Sure. The main thing that we really need help with is recruiting teachers into the state of New Mexico. So some of the dialogue has been they are going to ask for pay increases again for teachers. Hopefully it's significant enough that their insurance increases don't take up the pay increase. We tend to have a vicious cycle with that. So hopefully that will be something that will be on the table. I know the unions have asked for it as well, and we're hoping to get some incentive programs to get people to move to New Mexico to become teachers. We have a large teacher shortage. I think it's 1,000 plus teachers in the state of New Mexico that we don't have teachers, and we have long-term subs, or we're facing a lot of challenges that way. And I know that in a couple of years, there'll be another wave of educators who are eligible to retire. 50% of the teaching population basically will be eligible to retire in 2025-ish.
Wow.
So we have to get ahead of this instead of trying to catch up and make sure we have people for kids to go to school with and the teachers. I see this as the biggest challenge for public education right now.
Right. I just wanted to, I'm sorry, and I think you said it, I just wanted to make sure the audience heard it. You said 50% of current educators are maybe eligible to retire in the next 4
They
years?
will be. The first wave was in 2014. 50% were eligible then, and so now we have, 10 years since, and they will be eligible as well in 2025. Or they're coming up on it pretty
Right.
quick.
Wow.
It's actually my group.
Well, do we get to vote on that, Dr. Mizell?
I don't think so.
Understood. But that is an issue. And again, it makes sense that you want to prepare for that before you try to open up your schools with less than half of your teachers coming back into the classroom. That won't work at all. And we can see that even
Right.
today, right? Because I know there are
Right.
shortages throughout the state of qualified teachers. And I imagine you're still looking for folks to fill spots for Bloomfield schools even today.
Yeah, the difficult positions like special education, speech pathologists, we have a hard time competing with the medical field in speech pathology, and the salaries aren't that great, but you do get a lot of vacation time, and during Thanksgiving and Christmas and the spring break and then summer, so it is a nice choice for some people. I always feel like nurses, school nurses, is a nice choice for some of those nurses. I know the pay isn't as good, but you do get a lot of time off, especially if you have a family. So I always encourage people to look at us as career opportunities, and education is evolving as we speak. So we're playing a lot of catch up with how we're doing things, and we've hired a lot of Filipino teachers, which they're excellent teachers, but we've hit our max on that. So we're going to be a little stretched next year if we have a lot of people deciding to retire.
Right, understood. We've also heard the scenario, Dr. Mizell, that maybe some folks who had retired are maybe considering going back into the classroom and helping out in some way in some of the districts. Is that something? And I know sometimes some retirement benefits may be impacted. Is that maybe some things the lawmakers may be asked to look at about maybe teachers that are pulling their retirement being able to return to help out in this situation?
Yes, that's another thing that we have asked for through the legislative platform, is to shorten the time out for teachers to return to work. So like they could retire and stay out. We're asking for a 90-day period, which is basically a summer,
Right.
and they could come back. So we need to really look strongly at teachers and availability, the teacher prep programs. One of the things that was thrown out there is a full ride scholarship to become a teacher. If the state could figure that out, they have programs at the universities that they already had started doing something similar, but it's not a full ride. They just paid for tuition. Now that the lottery pays their tuition, can we move some of that funding into housing and meals for those students so they can have a full ride? We do it for athletes. Why can't we do it for teachers? So we need to really think out of the box with what's happening with recruiting people into education.
Understood. And I know just a few years ago that the talk was to stop this idea of double dipping, right? These retirees who were maybe going back in and earning money from the same places that were paying for their retirement, but now they're so much in need, there's a little bit different thinking about that.
Yeah, we need them, and we can't fill the positions we have, and it is going to be a crisis pretty quick. So I hope that the legislators listen to what's being presented by many people, the School Board Association, the unions, and the Superintendent's Association as well. We all are kind of starting to scream from the rooftops about what needs to happen. Unfortunately, COVID has made it even worse. People don't want to be in the schools, and so that has become a problem with bus transportation, and work people want being exposed to COVID. But it's in order to keep the schools open, we really need to have people that can teach them, and then also we need people to get vaccinated, because we can't sustain this for long periods of time if we don't have that support system there.
Right, right. Understandable. My guest this morning, Bloomfield School Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell, is joining me this morning from her office in Bloomfield, talking about different things that the schools are asking the state legislature to consider when they meet in 2022. It's not just Bloomfield schools, of course. I believe it's a pretty united front across our state, with superintendents and districts all kind of talking about these same issues. And it seems like even your teachers and their unions, you're all on the same page with some of these things, aren't you?
We're very aligned with what's needed.
Right.
Yes.
Very good. Another topic to talk with the legislature about is hold harmless, and that comes down to budgets, correct? And enrollments and things along that line. What's the latest with that idea?
Well, we need to have consistent funding in order to keep our schools open, and the fluctuation with student population and what's happened with the pandemic has really impacted a lot of us with declining enrollments, which is what your funding is based on. And so they chose to leave the formula the same last year, but we're asking for at least consistent funding to support what we have right now to sustain our educational system, and then also to not look at our cash reserves, which we use as our savings account for big projects. So for a district like Bloomfield, we are bonded out, so we have no ability to go out for bond for a long time. So I have to have a healthy cash reserve for all the roof leaks and all the old buildings that I have and things that have to be maintained, air conditioning units, HVAC units. And those are very expensive. So we need to make sure that they don't look at those funds for any reason other than that is our savings account for emergencies, just like the state reserve funds. So we've asked for them to not look at that or even consider that. This year is a year that we do have a lot of funding, and so we are asking for everything to be status quo, at least keep us whole. Not let things impact us in a negative way.
Got you. And I guess the reason that's a topic of conversation is because the state did do that a few years ago when times were not so flush with cash, and did kind of, the term I guess is claw back a lot of districts, or all districts, or much of their cash reserves. Isn't that what happened?
Yes, that did happen. And so, we manage our school districts fiscally responsible, and we work to maintain that we have the money to fix and repair things that we need to do. But when they clawed back that money, things went on hold. I had to do 3-phase roof repairs because I didn't have the funds to do the entire thing all in one period. So I had to wait for different, as the funding each year, I had phase 2 for the next phase so that we could fix the roof of the junior high.
Right.
So we shouldn't be put in that situation. We should be able to fix things when we need to.
Understood. And that's what you're asking them for, so I get it. We won't meet in December, Dr. Mizell, because our time here is at the end of the month. So I wanted to kind of get your thoughts about the holiday break for your students. I know we just came back from a break for Thanksgiving, but as families and staff and students think about December and being away for a couple of weeks at least, what's your advice for students over the break so they don't have a learning loss when they come back to the classroom in January?
I would say encourage your students to get a good book and have them read a little bit every day. Also, plan little craft activities with them to engage their brain and enjoy time with your family. Make cookies. Following a recipe is a good math practice. And then also some of our high school students will be taking the ACT. I would hope that they've kind of prepped themselves for that. That's coming up. So a lot of colleges still use that as their entrance requirement. And just enjoy your family. I hope we get some snow so you can go out and play in the snow and take time to be with your family members. This pandemic has really, I think, made us all realize how important family is to all of us. And I think it's important to make time to spend with the ones you love.
Good advice. I think that's very true. And you mentioned snow, and I wanted to ask you a bit about your district's snow day policy. Now that we've had our taste of virtual learning and been able to shift back and forth, some districts have said they're not going to do snow days anymore. What's Bloomfield's policy towards that?
In most cases, we'll move in and out of virtual as the situation arises, but also if we do have teachers that they don't necessarily have internet at home, so they come to work to do the virtual learning. So if there is a case where the snow is dangerous, we may still do a snow day based on the safety factor that we deal with. A lot of it has to do with south of Bloomfield and east of Bloomfield, where the snow gets really bad. And some of our teachers live out in those areas, and they live in actually Durango as well. And so I don't want them driving in and trying to conduct learning if it's going to put them in harm's way.
Good point. And of course, I know that's something you always think about, even when there is just buses going out, is how safe it is for your buses to get out to all the nooks and crannies of the Bloomfield district, as every other superintendent does throughout the state for sure. But glad to hear that maybe kids will get an actual snow day, but probably not as many as we've had in the past, is what it sounds like.
I know when I was a kid, I lived for snow days.
Right? Me too.
So I might throw one in for them, but we'll see.
Okay.
I hope it's snow. I'm like, this is crazy weather right now. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful and warm and mild, but you're right. It would be nice to have a little bit of white stuff for the holidays for sure, and that would be great. Well, Dr. Mizell, I always appreciate your time and your willingness to speak with me every month about what's going on at Bloomfield Schools. Glad you had a good Thanksgiving, and wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, too.
Thank you. You too. You enjoy the holidays, and I hope everybody has a great time with everyone and their families.
Thank you. We'll see you in the new year.
All right. You too.
All right. Thank you. That's Bloomfield School Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell, my guest this morning here on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, a community-owned and operated hospital, here for you when you need us. From emergency care to routine checkups and screenings, caregivers are here and ready to provide the safe, high-quality care you need close to home. Online at sanjuanregional.com with the latest health information and resources to help you live life better here.
Twitter's Jack